7 easy ways to retire on $500,000. Yeah, there's some tough ways. There are some ways where you really have to scrimp. Scrimp, I say, scrimp. But these are 7 of the easiest ways that I've found to do this. Okay? Number 1, coast fire. What is FIRE? You know the FIRE movement. Financial independence, retire early, right? What is coast fire? Coast fire is when you save up to the amount that you want to retire with. In this case, it would be $500,000. And what do you do after that? You work part-time or a side hustle to just cover your living expenses. What does that do? That helps you ease into retirement. You know, you can take it easy after reaching your target, in this case, $500,000. Let's say you reach that at 45. Let compounding work for you from there and just do a part-time gig, you know? Do something to cover your expenses where you can just let that money work for you while you're not doing too much. Coast fire. It's an easy way to retire with $500,000 or any amount you want. You just decide what that amount is and you go with it. It's an easy way to ease yourself into retiring on, in this case, $500,000. And you know what, guys? Like I've said over and over, you don't need $1 million to retire. That is driven into you by financial analysts, retirement planners looking for your business. Would it be easier in a lot of cases with $1 million bucks? Sure, of course it would. But you don't need that. And if anyone's seen me for the first time, my name is Duane. And I did this about 3 years ago. I retired on $500,000 at 59. If you're interested, you know, we concentrate on moderate retirement income. If that's something you might enjoy, think about subscribing and like the video as well. Number 2, investing heavily in your 20s and then either stopping investing at 30 or drastically cutting back on your investments. What does that do? Again, the magic of compounding just takes over. The earlier you start this, the better. Let's say you start at 22. You know, it's 22 when I didn't have all this turkey neck going on for me. What's up with this, man? Last couple of years, I look like a come on, old man neck. I hate it. So you save in your 20s. Save diligently for like a decade. You don't have to be anywhere close to $500,000. You just let the magic of compounding take over for you. And then you can choose to keep investing, maybe not as heavily, but just enjoy your life. Concentrate on your career. You know, if your target amount is $500,000, believe me, if you've invested for a decade in your 20s, by the time you hit like 55 probably, you're going to be okay with that $500,000. You're going to probably be a lot better off even. Now, some people think this is controversial. It's like, why stop investing? Well, if your goal is not to retire with, let's say, $3 million, why not? You know your lifestyle. You know how you like to live. You're not a big spender. Why not? It's a way that you can enjoy your life, concentrate on your career, have that money working for you in the back. I mean, compounding just takes over, especially 10 years into it, 15, especially 20. My God, man, it's going up exponentially, right? Can concentrate on your career and you have the money saved. 20 years later, boom, you're set. Number 3, retire overseas to where the cost of living is much cheaper. You know, Southeast Asia countries, Philippines, stuff like that. Guam, maybe even. Although, you know what? Actually, I heard that's getting more expensive. Scratch that. Maybe not Guam. Parts of rural Europe, you know, Italy, France. I have a good friend from high school who retired about 56, 55 on a teacher's pension, which is about the equivalent probably of a $500,000 retirement. He retired to Colombia and he loves it. He said he can get by with like a third to a fifth of what he would spend up here on a monthly basis. Think about another country. You can get by so much better on like $500,000 if you retire to the Philippines, right? Number 4, before you reach $500,000, try like a trial retirement. What do I mean by that? Well, here's what I mean, since I say that in like almost all of my videos. try living on what you live in retirement 2-3 years before you retire. And that'll probably mean cutting back on your expenses naturally and forcefully if need be. See if you can do that. See if that'll work for you, you know? And by the time 3 years have gone up, let's say you were at 425, 3 years later you're at 500. If that works for you, great. You've eased your way into this. It's not a sudden departure of your standard of living from when you were working, right? And it doesn't have to be even $500,000. You can do it with any amount. Ease yourself into it. Try a couple years, even if you want 3-4 years before you retire. See if you can live on what you project your retirement expenses will be. It's a great way to ease into retirement. Number 5, if you're not fancying like overseas living, retire to a rural part of United States. As you see behind me, beautiful downtown Los Angeles after a thunderstorm. Beautiful outside right now. Mid-70s, awesome. But I knew after living here for 30 years, I could not live comfortably on $500,000 in retirement, especially retiring at 59 in Los Angeles. So what did I do? I looked at other areas just outside of LA. It took me 6 months to find a place. I did a lot of research, but eventually I settled on the high desert area, a little over an hour east of Los Angeles. Much lower cost of living, you know? And luckily my girlfriend lives here, so I go back and forth a couple times a month. You know, I get tired of you could call it boring. I prefer to call it limited options in a rural area. I get tired of that. I come up here, I get all my options out of the way, all the stuff I wanted to do in LA, the crazy, crazy stuff. Then I get tired of the traffic. I get tired of the attitudes, and I go back to my rural haven in the high desert, which is a much lower standard of living. And my $500,000 it's well enough to let me live how I want to live in the rural area just east of LA. Number 6. Now this one, you better do your homework on, because if you get this wrong, this could lead to the death of your retirement plan. Get married to someone who has their own retirement plan. Your $500,000 will stretch all over the place, man. You'll be set. But don't make that the number one reason for getting married, obviously, because if that works out wrong, divorce is one of the top reasons for the death of a retirement plan, as I did in a recent video. So, you know, ask them out, but don't let your first question at lunch be, hey, so how much you got saved in retirement there, huh, babe? Huh? How's it going there? You got a big bankroll? No, come on. That'll be way down the line. But if you like them, if you're into them, if they're compatible with you, easy street, man. On your $500,000 plus hers or his, you're set. You're ready to roll. Number 7. Now, this may be somewhat controversial, but it is a strategy. Some people do this. If you have, let's say, a short longevity in your family, you know, your dad lived to like 75, your mom to 78, okay? And you're thinking about retiring at 60 or 62 with $500,000. You might be able to do that easily if you think that your longevity is going to be about the same as theirs. But just be careful on this. You could be one of the outliers, you know. On down the road, it'll be like, hey, his whole family lived and they died in their 70s, but he made it to 95. Well, you know what? Those last 10 years might be kind of poverty-stricken for you. If that was your decision back when you were 56 and retired on $500,000. So if that's a strategy you want, just be very careful, guys. Be very sure. But you know what? There's also a solution to that. If you get to, let's say, 72 and you're still in good health, what's wrong with getting something on the side? A side hustle, a part-time job. Because as I've said over and over on this channel, this is now the new retirement. There is nothing wrong with working part-time, side hustle, whatever you want to call it, while you're retired on moderate income. That's the way to go. That's where peace of mind comes from, right? If you want to do this strategy, you're 72, 73 in great health. Hey, you've had 10 plus years to look at hobbies that you might be able to turn into some money. Or who knows, maybe you've done it already, right? So there's nothing wrong with that, guys, if that's a strategy you want to take. So there you go. there are 7 ways that you can retire somewhat easily on $500,000, where you're not going to be scrimping pennies or pesos or whatever you want to do. You'll be able to do it pretty well. So keep those in mind, guys. And as always, from the beautiful LA Basin, after a rainstorm, thunder and lightning, woo! We got this.